14 days with no set plan. The coffee's gone, the milk's at hand. No boss, no stress, no telephone. I'm dancing here inside my cardboard home. Oh, shut down, all stand still. But my good mood stays with me still. Shut down, free at last. Chaos hums a tune so vast.
Hey everybody, yeah, we use the old intro there. As time allows, we are doing everything. We got new commercials and everything else we're shooting right now. Or I should say recording right now. How's everybody doing? This is not day 3. This is like day 14 going on. 15. With no shutdown in sight. No end to this shutdown. Now it's starting to hurt. It's starting to hurt a lot of people here. We might have to switch from happy music to doom and gloom music. I don't know. Again, we don't know how this is going to shake out. It's painful right now. Saw a lot of people being furloughed. There's talk of people being fired, reduction in force. Which I tell you what, what do you call it? The powers that be, right? Or I should say, I should say, in years gone by, we always talked about reduction in force. I spoke to a couple of people over the years during these shutdowns, before these shutdowns. Reduction in force, that's not going to happen. Also known as a RIF, R-I-F, for short. And they say, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. We've been hearing the Republicans for my entire life saying, smaller government, smaller government, smaller government. They've allowed regulatory creep to come in there, people on both sides of the aisle here. And now we have we have 2 million service members. It was like 2.5 million, something like that, before, at the end of the Cold War when they did the last reduction. And I tell you what, there were 400,000 workers during that reduction during the Clinton administration. Nobody shed a tear over it. Right? And then we had, of course, 50,000 workers put out of work in January of 2021 when Biden was inaugurated. Nobody shed a tear for that. And right now, we're getting to the point where now we have government workers getting laid off here, being shut down. Now, talk about people being laid off and everything. A lot of people aren't shedding a tear over this. When did we become so callous? Why did we become so callous? Is what's good for the goose not good for the right? If it's good for the goose, is it good for the gander, or not good for the goose? Not good for the gander. However it is, and this callousness has got to end here with this, because what happens? You get pissed off. They get pissed off. They get angry, we get angry, we get angry, they get angry, and this vicious circle. You got to learn to turn the other cheek on this, and that's what I'm going to say on that. So here's the latest on this. This is from MSN.com. Story by Swampa Venugol Ramaswamy, Melina Khan, Joey Garrison, Zachary Shermill, and Mary Walrath Holdridge. Wow. A lot of names there. Here from USA Today. The Senate on Tuesday rejected a potential funding deal for the 8th time, guaranteeing that the government shutdown that has furloughed hundreds of thousands of workers and caused disruption in services across the country will continue. The failed vote means the government stores will remain closed despite new pressure from the Trump administration over the weekend. The White House began another round of firings across more than a half a dozen agencies, laying off thousands of workers. Again, the Republicans want smaller government. They have not delivered on that. Here we have somebody delivering on it, and nobody's happy about it. Maybe it's the way that it's going about. The president is going about. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's something else going on. I don't know here. But again, this callousness got to stop. There's people at this point suffering. We need to get everybody back to work again. People are back to work. People don't have time to do things that they shouldn't be doing. So last time we had a shutdown was during COVID, right? Different reason, but we had lots of people out of work. Lots of people went out there thinking, had time on their hands. And one of the questions that was routinely asked again and again is, what the hell am I doing with my life? What am I doing? All right, what am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? And as a result, I think sociologists and historians are going to put that as one of the events that caused our current, that was a contributor at least, or maybe caused some of our current strife here. Started during the Trump's first administration and got exacerbated. Now we have thousands of people out of work. Just out of curiosity, let me throw this into search AI. How many people from the from the federal government are out of work because of the shutdown? Gotta love it, right? So this is going through AI, right? And this is according to The Hill. As of right now, 4,000 federal employees have been laid off due to the government shutdown. The Department of Health and Human Services being the hardest hit. When was this article? It's from the 10th, right here. As of Friday, 4,100 federal employees have been laid off. Right, we went into what's going on the Osha and the EPA as of last week. Something like 800 from Osha, several thousand from the EPA. And as of Friday, 20 to 30 EPA employees may be eliminated. The EPA confirmed in June it was down more than 700 staffers since January, though those staffers may have been separated from the agency for any number of reasons. From The Hill. So, I don't know. We have people not collecting paychecks. Military will. We have a lot of stuff going on here. Keep pissing people off. See what happens. Right? They have the FAFO. That usually comes from people in authority. Now you're going to have FAFO from people not in authority. You think you're putting these people through the ringer. Do you really think that they're going to come home and know everything's nice and happy and we're everything else? So look, yeah, they'll get their back pay eventually, most of them. Right, by law, Congress said, oh, yeah, you got to pay back pay. And then 2 weeks later, they rescinded the law. And so, oh, yeah, you'll get your back pay. But that was just after the last shutdown. So we have conflicting information. You have this uncertainty. It's not good. If you checked out silver prices, which we don't track on this program, when we did track on them 2 years ago, they're in the mid-20s. Now they're over 50. People, there's instability. There's people out there who are very upset. So what's my point? Make ready for whatever's to come here. That is my point. And that's my monologue for tonight. And we'll get into some other commentary here in a minute. We're going to go to Commercial break right now. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that is designed to actually address and assess your hazards and liabilities and is not standardized baloney from generations ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call me, Jim Polzel, at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you are receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
At Safety FM, we're just a humble radio station and podcast network. But we're changing the way people look at safety, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Because here, we don't treat the word safety as a dirty word. We make it powerful. Rated R Safety Show. Jay Allen pushes boundaries and breaks myths. Safety Wars. Jim Posel brings the battle for safety to life. Pre-accident investigations. Todd Conklin dives deep into human performance. The Safety Consultant Podcast. Sheldon Primus helps you build your business and your career. A Hope Podcast with no name. Andy Barker and Matt Florio keep it real with human and organizational performance. The Accidental Safety Pro. Jill James explores what it means to grow in this profession. The Safety of Work. Dr. Drew Ray and Dr. David Proven bring you science, research, and real-world impact. Hop into action. Ben Hutchinson gets you moving from theory to practice. Truck Safe Live. Brandon Wiseman delivers compliance and safety for America's road warriors. The Safety Pro Podcast. Blaine J. Hoffman blends leadership and innovation for today's workforce. Whether you're on the job, on the road, or on a mission to make work safer, there's a voice for you at Safety FM. Safety FM, changing the way people look at safety, one broadcast at a time. Visit safetyfm.com or download the Safety FM app wherever you get your podcasts.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Polzel, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast, it's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Polzel and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
And that was Safety Warrior with Haunted Sparks. We got some Halloween vibes coming in here. Yeah, it's approaching that day. I mean, there's a lot of people that go haywire for that. Now, on to something a little bit more, I don't know what to call it. So, back when we had another broadcaster on here who's since left Safety FM, they were asked, well, how do you come up with topics? Well, talk about what you're dealing with. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with those damn plastic gas cans. They end up on the job sites. They end up there, and, well, why do you have a plastic gas can? Well, it's approved. I got it at the store. I got it at the gas station. I could use it. Right? And it's like, we've all heard this. Yeah, we could use it. Look at us. We're compliant. Blah, 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 blah. Right? And what does it end up being is this OSHA requirements, right? And this is from a recent article in Industry News and Blog off at vexagroup.net, right? And it refers over to this, right? Right. So here we have 1926 subpart F, and the 1910 standard is slightly different, except my understanding is they don't. You don't need to have certain equipment on there, fire prevention equipment on the can. But here we go. Only approved containers and portable tanks shall be used for storage and handling of flammable liquids. Approved storage cans or DOT, Department of Transportation, approved containers shall be used for the handling and use of flammable liquids in quantities of 5 gallons or less, except that it shall not apply to flammable liquid materials which are highly viscous, aka extremely hard to pour, which may be used and handled in original shipping containers for quantities of 1 gallon or less. The original container may be used for storage, use, and handling of flammable liquids. So you go into your favorite chain store, hardware store, and you get 1 gallon containers of pre-mixed 2-cycle gas. People swear by them. I mean, my father, if he caught me drinking, it's just one of these things that fathers instill on their children, especially if they're mechanically inclined fathers. What, you can't mix your own 50-1 or 40-1 mix? What the hell is wrong with you? Right? So, even though people swear by those pre-mixed ones because apparently they don't have some of the additives in them that cause engines, small engines, like leaf blowers, what's the other one? Weed whackers, or small engines like that don't, lessens the wear and tear on those. Right? So, so the 50-1 premix uses. So those containers, you don't need, you go in the original container according to how I'm interpreting this. If I'm interpreting it wrong, let me know. If you are using, what's the word I'm looking for? Anything else other than that, right? So the portable gas cans have to be in a what's called Type 1 or Type 2 products, right? So I'm going to go here. We're going to go to Simplified Safety. I'm going to share. Now this is under Fair Use, and I'm going to see that. You see those? Right? Those gas cans there? Here we have one that's all beat up and everything. Those are all non-OSHA compliant, right? With that. All right? Now, what gas cans can you use? All right, we'll get a picture of those right now. And of course, the computer does not cooperate here. Why should the computer comply, right? So here, let's go with this. And I'm not endorsing this. Those are the kinds.
Type 2. Each provides for safe handling of flammable liquids. Type 1 cans have a single opening for filling or pouring. They provide a
so right there you have a safety can, red can with
an ergonomic trigger and handle provide a comfortable grip for easy opening and pouring. They
a
are
spring,
available with or without funnels,
a
which are
spring
removable and
loaded
fit snugly onto the
cover.
spout. The Type 2 cans have a flexible metal hose and 2 openings, one for filling and one for pouring. The hose allows for fueling in deeper, recessed, or otherwise hard-to-reach fuel tanks, like those found on vehicles. The Comfort Grip trigger actuates the spring-closing fill port lid and the valve to provide a precise, smooth, and fast fill. Hoses are available in 5/8 or 7/8 inch diameter. For safety, both types of cans have a spring-loaded, self-closing lid with a nitrile rubber gasket that prevents spills. This lid automatically vents at 3 to 5 psi to relieve pressure, thereby preventing rupture or explosion in a fire. The non-sparking stainless steel flame arrestor and brass pour spout are 2 essential safety features to reduce the chance of a fire from a contact spark. Our cans meet OSHA and NFPA Code 30 requirements, are UL and ULC listed, and are FM tested and approved.
So those are the types of cans they require. And with that, so when people show up with the $5 cans that you would get, those are good for consumer use and consumer quantities. So, for example, but not for the workplace, not where you have an OSHA compliant workplace. Now, here's something else. Why am I getting feedback here? Sorry about that. I don't know why I am getting feedback. Maybe the air conditioning here. So I turned it down. It came down a little bit. So why? Okay, that's for the workplace. What about if you're driving? You're driving a company vehicle. You have those plastic gas cans, and again, they're yellow. They're red for gasoline, yellow for diesel, blue for kerosene usually. What if you're driving along, you're just driving along, and you get pulled over, and you have those plastic gas cans on? Let's say you're in a landscaping vehicle or a construction vehicle, and you have that on there. What happens there? Is that a DOT violation? The answer is yes. Most likely yes. Are they going to write you a ticket? Who knows? The other issue is the compressed gas cylinders. So if you have, let's say, even if they're non-flammable, right? Let's say you're dealing with non-flammable gas cylinders for what? Let's say you're carrying nitrogen or helium or something like that. Generally speaking, you might have to carry a manifest. Now, what happens if you don't have that manifest with you? I'm not saying a hazardous materials manifest, but some type of manifest if you're over a certain quantity. What do you? Should have had the other microphone out here. What are you to do? Can you get fined for that? Yeah, you can. Are they going to fine you? Probably not. Are you going to be cited, pulled over? You maybe not. However, one thing's for damn sure: you get into a car accident, you're pretty much effed. And that's not the company; that's the driver, because you, being the driver, should know that. Again, this is what I call, and we're going to have a special section here: what they don't tell you at the OSHA outreach training. So we went into a couple weeks ago, we did OSHA outreach training, a whole session here, where we went through general industry, we went through construction, went through disaster response worker training. So here's some audio from that. Hold on.
Discover the story behind falsely claimed credentials and potential regulatory warnings.
Oh, well, I'm an outreach trainer. It's fine. Okay, well, let me get your name. And it turns out that they're not an outreach trainer. Turns out also, I said to the guy, OSHA you can get into big trouble with OSHA for doing that. Like huge trouble. Humna. Turns out his boss calls me out and he says, doesn't do outreach training, he's just bullshitting you, and we straightened him out. So, give me a little bit more on that story. A guy was counting on me not knowing what outreach training was and what the requirements were to get his employees on the job site. And he had decided that he was going to combine the OSHA outreach training with the 40-hour HAZWOFer training and include that in there and blah, 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 blah. Turns out he wasn't an outreach trainer, and it turns out that he was trying to BS me. And I said to him, look, you can get into big trouble. And a lot of the LMS systems out there, learning management systems that are out there, and that companies love to use for now because they don't have to send their employees out, especially if they're salaried. They can have them work an entire day and then send them home, say, oh, well, take it at home at night, and that's part of your salary you're being paid for. So they end up, and they don't tell them about the plastic gas cans or the flammable storage cans. They don't tell them about it. They don't tell them what the requirements are. They don't tell them this. They don't tell them that. And we explained it here in 2 minutes if you were on the video portion looking at the video here. On audio, this is what I'm telling you. So we have what are called leading indicators in safety. One of the leading indicators, and they also call them low-hanging fruit. So one of the leading indicators that I use, I'm sorry, is do they have plastic gas cans or not? They come waltzing onto the job site with plastic gas cans. I know right off the bat, that's somewhere a group of people I need to worry about. Recently on a project that I was working on, not the current project before, we had a situation where we had a company, we pointed this out to them. We said, look, you cannot have the plastic gas cans on site. Got to get them off site. Well, I never heard of anything so ridiculous. I said, when did you take your outreach training? They said, 2 months ago. Your outreach trainer didn't go over this. No. Know that they have a thing on fire prevention, and this is like usually including fire. Yes, but they didn't go over it. No. Never came through. So you had an ineffective training. Again, outreach training is not for credential. It's just for awareness level training, but never dawned on them. And, okay, well, we'll get them off site. They get them off the site. They come back 2 or 3 days later. And they say, well, hey, we didn't bring our plastic gas cans. We left them off site down the street there, blah, 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 blah. We got another job going on. We filled them up. We don't have them with us. And I said, okay, great. So what you're telling me is that your boss will not spend the money for plastic gas cans, and which go for, depending on your configuration, anywhere from 33 gallons up to over $100. I'm sorry, $33 up to $100. No, he won't do that. And it's like, okay, so let me get this straight here, right? This is part of what the problem is. Your employer, right? That should be a leading indicator with your employer. Well, what do you mean, Jim? A leading indicator. If your employer will not spend $100 to comply with federal law, OSHA, on the job site, and right, it's going to have you drive around with plastic gas cans on your commercially plated vehicle, they don't really care about you because the fines on the vehicle go towards you, generally speaking. Right? Because you're the driver. You're supposed to know that. Right, and to the company, but to the vehicle, as I understand it now. How about, no, they're not going to, have that on you. I said, let me explain it to you. I've been doing this thing for I've been doing this job for more than years that you've been alive, doing this type of work. And if an employer is breaking the law on something like that, what else are they breaking the law on everything else? What kind of environmental laws are they breaking? What kind of human resources situations are they breaking and not managing? All this other stuff, that is a valid question for everyone on that. So if you think that that's going to be compartmentalized to just, he doesn't follow OSHA regulations, however, or environmental regulations or DOT regulations, but he complies to all the other laws, labor laws, human resources practice. But he just doesn't do that. Are you willing to believe that? I'm not willing to believe that. Not one bit. Well, I work with a great employer. just said he doesn't supply us with safety glasses. Well, he's probably screwing you somewhere else too. Just to let you know. If they're not going to do stupid things like that, or I should say silly things like that. When you look at the press releases, when they used to write the press releases, what happens when they come in for an Osha audit or a Department of Labor, let's say wage and hourly division, right? Audit. What do you also see? All different types of labor. You may have a wage issue or something like that, not paying overtime, but you also see all different types of labor law violations, from child labor law violations to OSHA violations and other things going on. So if you, bottom line is, if you mess up in one area, chances are you're messing up everywhere with the employer. Now, we're not talking about the de minimis type of stuff, though, where we have good employers making little mistakes here and there. Everybody understands that. But on something major like that, a life safety issue, guess what? You got to watch out, right?
It's Safety Wars with your host.
Let's try that again.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim Posel, your safety warrior. You know what drives you nuts? I mean, absolutely unhinges me. I see all this stuff on social media. I get stuff in the mail, the junk mail, and everything else. And hey, we have a health and safety program for you. We have a health and safety process for you. Just throw out some money. 15, 20 minutes later, you have a complete health and safety program. No assessments, no professionalism, no professional checking out your stuff. That is where we have Aronite. They fill that gap between all these programs and having a professional in place. Right? Let's say that you're an office, a financial service company, a retail chain, a tech company, you name it. The last thing on your mind might be what your responsibilities are to your employees, the company, and, of course, the law. All about safety, right? We forget about the law. It's not only protecting your assets, protecting your people, and your people your most important asset. It is also following the law. Aronite has a whole worldwide reach, just like Safety Wars. They have a thorough and comprehensive auditing system that will identify what your needs are and then help you write the plan or the program you need. And then, finally, they don't abandon you like all these other online platforms. They actually help you administrate it. We've all been there. We don't know what to do. We don't know what the laws are. We don't know any of this stuff. If you need answers quick, you come to me, Jim Posel, or you go to Aronite. Visit them on the web at aronite.com. Tell them Jim Posel from Safety Wars sent you. See you out there in the world of safety.
Looks like a family reunion, but it's the lobbyists and union members eating cold beans from the can. We're all singing songs, 'cause it's day 6 of the shutdown. Government ain't got us down. We're just singing our songs, 'cause it's day 6 of the shutdown. The government ain't got us down.
All right, so we are back. We are back here. So, there it is.
You are listening to Safety Wars. Tomorrow's Safety Today.
All right, so we're back. Let's talk about some other health and safety news here. So this is from jdspuro.com. Osha and MSHA under new leadership. We covered this last week. Anticipating developments in workplace safety regulation. Article, I'm not seeing an article here by anybody. Here, written by Jackson Lewis. Recent confirmations that the DOL mark a new phase for federal workplace safety and health oversight, with David Killing now leading the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and Wayne Palmer leading the Mine Safety and Health Administrator, MSHA. Both agencies are expected to address their regulatory and enforcement priorities. Employers should anticipate potential shifts in compliance expectations and reporting obligations as these leadership transitions take effect. Both people are not well respected here in the industry. So what are some of the anticipated changes in OSHA? Potentially rolling back electronic injury reporting requirements, ending the public release of workplace injury data, and possibly scrapping or revising the proposed National Heat Illness Prevention Standard. So, again, ending the public release of workplace injury data. That's the establishment search. That would be a bad thing if they're doing that. Not only for us covering it, but again, these are case studies or learning opportunities for everybody else. The union walk-around rule, which allows third-party representatives to accompany OSHA inspectors during workplace inspections, is likely to be curtailed or rescinded. All right, so under the Secretary of Labor for MSHA, again, it gives his thing. He's from the industry, from government also. While MSHA's statutory inspection and enforcement mandates will likely remain in place under Palmer, his leadership is expected to bring a deregulatory purpose. Right? Not so much that he could do, because apparently it's very there are what's the word I'm looking for? Actual legislation, not regulatory stuff. Actual legislation says you shall do X, Y, and Z on this stuff. I'm not an MSHA guy out here. There are a lot of MSHA people out there. So this is from Cal OSHA. And thank God we're not, I don't share these screens here because you'd be amazed what comes up here with that in the news. I mean, when did the news become so raunchy out there? All right. California workplace regulators have fined this is from KCRA.com, Jonathan Michelle Bendur, right? This is the reporter. California workplace regulators have fined Marysville Police Department and Yuba County Sheriff's Office, imposing 9 citations and citing several violations related to the shooting death of Officer Osmar Rodarte. The city of Marysville now plans to appeal its citations that have resulted in $150,000 in proposed penalties. The Yuba County Sheriff's Office has not said if it will appeal $185,000 in fines. Rodarte was part of a large-scale multi-county drug trafficking bust in March when he and another officer got into a shootout with a street-level drug dealer. Following the gun battle, Oliver died within seconds and Rodarte was rushed to the hospital, but officials explained he was hit in a major artery and had no chance of surviving that wound. right? And since that operation, the Yuba County District Attorney's Office announced last week that both officers were legally justified in killing Oliver. However, a copy of the citations issued by Cal Osha alleges the city's police department and Yuba County Sheriff's Office committed multiple violations, including 1, provided a body armor vest that didn't fit properly, 2, failure to ensure PPE was provided to all police employees required to wear it, failure to provide ballistic shields, failure to establish effective SWAT entry training, failure to react to concerns raised by officers about how the operation was being conducted, not properly identifying and evaluating the risk of entering unfamiliar or open spaces where danger might be hidden, failure to provide workplace violence prevention training. Well, I don't know. Did the guy that they were after have to attend that training? Really? And the sheriff's office faces a regulatory violation not reporting officers' death to Cal Osha. Now, I have mixed emotions on this, all right? With this. You're a government agency. You have sovereign immunity, basically, except where the law says that, apparently you don't in this situation in California. You should be complying with the law. I've always said, and you're not going to hear me say otherwise, that everyone should comply with the law. In this case, you have sovereign immunity, number 1. Number 2, you have an X factor. The X factor is the person you're pursuing here with this. Number 2. Number 3, you're dealing with entirely the skills mode of work, and someone could be arguing, or the limbic, or rules. I'm saying rules. You're dealing with rules. You're a little bit of skills too. The rules mode of work where you have to make decisions, and you're relying on the worker in this case to make decisions. And the decisions that the worker has to make are totally reliant on what the alleged perpetrator is, what they're capable of. So it's kind of hard to plan that out. I'm not in law enforcement. So even though I would say, yeah, under normal circumstances, they got to obey the law, same as everybody else. In this circumstance, you had a situation, right? You have a situation where you cannot have, they have the original citation here for them, where you have an X factor. That is the other person out there doing things, right? Acting and everything else. And, okay, maybe it's a training issue, right? But I would think that you would have to link to why that training issue caused this problem, unless you're just citing them on a general, hey, well, you didn't have training sort of situation. This is different than the Uvalde situation where they failed to act, right? The Uvalde shooting, school massacre. They just opened up a new school just now, like today, yesterday, something like that, because they abandoned the old school. So here we have, let's see, Cal Osha. How does theirs look like? Their citations. Right? Again, prior to and during the course of the division's inspection, including but not limited to, the employer failed to establish, implement, and maintain an effective written injury and illness prevention program. $435. Here we have citation 1, item 2, general violation, PPE. Right. Prior to and during the course of the division's inspection, including but not limited to, on March 26, 2025, the employer failed to verify that the required workplace hazard assessment had been performed through a written certification that identifies the workplace evaluated. The person certifying that the evaluation has been, right, that's $435. Right, so it didn't do an assessment. Prior to and during the course of the division's inspection, including but not limited to, right, on March 26th, the employer failed to verify that each employee required to wear PPE had received and understood the required PPE training through a written certification. So lack of training, $435. Violation, citation item 1, number 4. The employer shall record information in a violent incident log for every workplace violence incident. Prior to and during the course of the inspection, but not limited to March 26th, The employer failed to record information in a violent incident log for every workplace incident. Right? And here we go. General here. Records of workplace violence hazard identification and correction shall be created and maintained for 5 years. Something that they allegedly did not do. Citation to item 1. This is where it's 21,600. Rather lengthy here. Let's see if I could summarize this. Right. Prior to and during the course of the division's inspection, the employer failed to effectively establish, implement, and maintain procedures for identifying and evaluating workplace hazards faced by officers who executed a warrant on a certain address and a narcotics investigation involving transnational trafficking organizations, including, not limited to, safeguards for firearm threats, right? Employer failed to identify and evaluate the needs for ballistic shields, and they're attributing all these to the fatality involved. Employer failed to properly identify and evaluate the need for proper fit and type of body armor needed to protect from firearm threats to neck, chest, and abdomen and groin. As a result, the Marysville police officer was fatally wounded. The employer did not properly identify and evaluate the risks of entering unfamiliar or open spaces where danger might be hidden. Right? And that was 21,600, item citation 3, item 1. And same type of thing, right? $21,600 with that. Lack of training, lack of assessments. Citation 4, item 1, serious accident related, right? Lack of effective training, including but not limited to effective SWAT entry training that was not provided to the police department employee. 21,600. Again, this, okay, so I'll change what I said, was that this was focused on the, again, I don't read these beforehand for a reason. You're getting my pure reaction here. They are blaming the employer for not having any of these programs or training here. Pretty impressive. Serious accident related, citation 5. Did not fit, the body armor did not fit, right? With that. Citation 6, item 1. Employer failed to ensure PPE training was provided. Again, I talked about that today on one of my projects. Got to have training for all PPE. I don't care what it is. Body protection. Clothing appropriate for the work being done shall be worn. Loose sleeves, tails, ties, lapels, cuffs, or other loose clothing which can be entangled in moving machinery shall not be worn. And they had here the person was not ensure appropriate work for the work was being done. And these all add up, these de minimis things. An employer shall establish, implement, and maintain an effective workplace violence prevention program. Again, no plan on here. And it goes on and on and on. So they blame the employer on this one. Citation 9. Again, lack of training on here. Workplace training and workplace violence prevention training. So this is, a part of this had to do with the actual incident, right? The shooting of the officers. But part of it was that they start digging around. They start finding some other crap going on here. Now let's see what we have against the sheriff's office. We're going to scroll down. 28 pages is what we got. Well, we got a lot of front matter here. We'll know why we have that feedback here on this. All right, so this is against Yuba County Sheriff's Office. right? Failed to immediately report a violation. That was $5,000. Something would indicate to me that they either have more resources than the locals, or maybe they should have known better, right? Or something along those lines. Citation 1, item 2, $560. Effective I2P2 program, injury for illness and prevention program. Right? Citation 1, item 3. No hazard assessments not being done. Citation 1, item 4. We're looking at PPE and training on the PPE. Well, PPE, you got to have training on. The employer shall record information in violent incident log. That wasn't done. Allegedly. Right? Records of workplace violence hazards not logged in. I2P2 program not done. Employer did not properly identify and evaluate the necessary safeguards for firearms threats. Evaluate the need, identify and evaluate the need for ballistic shields. Again, this was a big one, $25,000. Employer did not properly identify and evaluate coordination with backup units and medical support. As a result, a police officer was fatally. Now, I tell you what, this is totally different than the Uvalde one, right? For the Uvalde one, they said, no one's at fault. And that one, nobody had training either, but Texas doesn't have its own state agency there. And OSHA does not cover, their jurisdiction is not that of the Texas public employees. Again, here's another one. Unsafe and unhealthy work conditions. Safeguards for firearms threats. Well, no. Failed to provide ballistic shields. Failed to provide proper fit and type of body armor. Employer failed to act on concerns raised by officers before the incident about how the operation was being conducted. And employer failed to arrange proper rescue or medical response. $25,000 on that. Another training violation, $25,000. Training on the I2P2 program. Again, PPE not fitting, $25,000. This starts to add up. We're only on page 16. Let's see what else we got. PPE, getting towards the end here. Again, PPE, proper fit of body armor. Lovely here. Effective workplace violence prevention training on all the elements specified in 2 and 3. Items 2 or 3. What is that? The employer did a lot of stuff here. Not at the educational level, literacy and language for the employees. Employers shall provide employees with initial training when the plan is first established and annually thereafter. A whole bunch of stuff here with this. Another $13,500. So you're talking a lot of money here. So for the sheriff, it's $184,000. For the other agency, the police, it is here. Hold on. It is a lot of background noise today. $153,000. So basically, who loses on this one? Who loses are the two victims here. Number one, police officers. Those are the ones who lose. But the other thing is the taxpayer loses. And that is sad. It's sad on everything. Nobody. No. Again, we got families here. Again, you have the accused, the person that they were going after. So again, we mentioned today the 8th time they voted today to reopen the government, and not done. Everyone's doing the hustle here. We could call this that's another one. The shutdown hustle. And maybe we'll see what we can come up with. Now, here's another one. Here, this is from yesterday. These airports. Yesterday was Austin Bergstrom International Airport in Austin, Texas. Issued a ground stop because they didn't have enough people to man things. Right? Okay. And we have a whole bunch of other stuff going on here. So we're going to cut it right here. We're going to have some pre-recorded music at the end because I am right up on the time limit here because with this. So we will have some pre-recorded music and we'll go from there, right?
Expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.